What's up, everybody? I'm Danny DeVries with Superchips, and today I'm going to walk you through the installation process of the all-new Pulsar for 2018 newer JL Jeep Wranglers. Let's go check it out. Alright, so now that we're out here in the garage, we're going to go ahead and install the Pulsar on this 2018 Jeep Wrangler JL. The first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to disconnect the negative terminals. There's two batteries on these Jeeps, so we're going to disconnect those. In order to maintain those batteries to be disconnected, you're going to have to keep those wires separate. So we're going to go ahead and do that and then move on with the install. Alright, so our first step, if you guys have a stock air intake, we really recommend you guys remove this and then mount our bracket in here with the Pulsar to get a flush, clean mount. So this is a stock air intake. We're going to go ahead and remove this and then get on with the installation of the Pulsar and the PCM. Alright, so the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut these zip ties here, allowing us to remove this mass airflow sensor from the stock intake. Now that we've got that done, we're going to remove the mass airflow sensor by turning counterclockwise, and it should just pull right out. Alright, so the next step in removing the air intake is we're going to go ahead and remove hose number 3 here. And you do that by pushing down this locking mechanism and pulling it out, just like that. That frees us up so we can go ahead and move on to the bolts, the hose clamps, and pull out the air intake module. So to remove these front 2 bolts here, you're going to use a 10mm socket, and to remove the hose clamps, you will use a 8mm socket. So now what we're going to do is we're going to locate the factory PCM here and actually disconnect it. And in order to do that, we're going to use a flathead screwdriver. Press down on this safety lever by pushing towards the PCM and then unlock it just like that. Alright, so now that we've disconnected the wires for the PCM, now we're going to go ahead and remove the PCM. And for that, you're going to need a 10mm socket to undo these bolts here and pull the PCM off. Now that we've got the bolts off, we're going to pull out the PCM and go ahead and install the Pulsar onto the PCM. Alright, so now that we've got our PCM and our Pulsar here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install our Pulsar onto our PCM. But as you can see, it doesn't seat all the way down. So what you're going to need to do is put this on a flat surface and apply even pressure down until it seats on there evenly and flush. Alright, so now that we've got the Pulsar installed onto the PCM, now we're going to get to removing this bracket. And the first thing we're going to do is take off this wiring harness on top of the washer fluid reservoir. In order to do that, you just pull this yellow tab on the side and pull out the red lock. Once you got the red lock completely out, you can see it's pretty easy just to pull that out. So now that we got the loose side out here, what we're going to do is we're going to take a flathead screwdriver and push it on the inside of this thing, the remaining connector, which depresses the lock tab, allowing us to slide that off. And now that we've got the plugs separated from the factory harness, we're going to go ahead and take and remove the 6 zip tie holders from the harness. Now, the ones that have the square top, you can go ahead and cut those if you want, but we're just going to go ahead and pull these out. Alright, now that we've got the wiring harnesses and everything disconnected from the main mount here, PCM mount, we're going to go ahead and use a size 8mm socket and remove all the bolts until the factory mount is free. Once you got all the bolts removed, it's pretty easy just to pull out the factory bracket. Now we're going to go ahead and install the Pulsar bracket. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take this screw and the provided 10mm nut and go ahead and thread it through the bottom of the washer fluid reservoir. Now that we've got that flat screw threaded through the bottom here on the washer fluid, we're going to go ahead and take a washer and our 10mm nut and go ahead and screw this on, fasten it down. You're going to want to use a 10mm socket or 10mm wrench, but you do want to make sure that this is really tight on the mount. Now for the top, we're going to use the same factory screws that came with it. We're just going to screw those back in, take our 8mm and tighten this down. So now is the fun part. We're going to go ahead and reinstall the Pulsar in the PCM. Sliding it carefully down into here. Once you've got the Pulsar through the wiring harnesses, you're going to go ahead and take the 3 provided bolts and go ahead and align those with the holes that are pre-drilled into the Pulsar mount and get the lock washer and thread those together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our harnesses and plug them into the Pulsar unit. And press down until it locks into place. Alright, so now that we've got our harnesses plugged into the PCM and the Pulsar unit, now we're going to go ahead and reconnect the top harness here, reinstall the cold air intake, reconnect the battery, and then we're going to get to tuning. So let's go ahead and do that. While you're reinstalling your factory cold air intake, you want to make sure that you are very careful when you're reinstalling the mass airflow sensor. Once you've got the mass airflow sensor installed, we're going to go ahead and rebolt on the factory bolts, reconnect the negative wire, and get to tuning. Just like that, we're ready to hit the road. To find out more about the Pulsar or other products that might be right for you, visit us online. Check us out at superchips.com.